Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined, as always, by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how we doing?
Big day, big day, folks. Happy trade deadline day for all of those that like to celebrate, which should be everyone listening to this podcast. And we get to talk about the latest No Ceilings big board. Green Room 2. What an episode, an all-timer, Metcalf. When you sent me this slate, I was like, whoo, Metcalf, you're in your bag right now. So yeah, I'm feeling good about this one. How are you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Super Bowl this weekend. Very excited for that. Not as excited as I almost was. Just devastating loss by the Lions. No one cares about my tears. But hey, let's go 49ers, right? Why not? Who cares?
No, you're not in on the Taylor Swift. Are you not tired of Taylor Swift yet? Come on.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all.
It's the Super Bowl now. I don't care. The memes about her flying around in her jet have been the funniest thing on Twitter lately.
I need like a Santa Claus tracker, like on Christmas Eve with her flight from her concert in Japan. It's gonna be fun. Everyone needs to settle down a little bit and stop taking some of that stuff as seriously as they are. It's the Super Bowl. It's football. Exactly. It's sports. Let's have some fun. All right, we got a packed slate here today, so we're gonna mix things up a little bit. Start off with a little NBA talk, a little trade deadline talk, a little reactions, 10-15 minutes tops. Just kind of big picture thoughts. And we're going to jump into our most recent version of our composite No Ceilings big board, run through 1 through 60. And that is the average rankings of everyone's boards at No Ceilings. So if there's something you hate, don't come at us individually because the rankings were all over the place. Little spoiler alert, Alex Sarr was still number one, but his average ranking was 2.5. So the ranges on some of these guys were bonkers. After that, we're going to dive into a little rookie roulette and break down Amen Thompson's rookie season. So far, it's starting to get really fun with him. All right, let's dive in. Trade deadline talk. Where do you want to start?
It wasn't as big of fireworks as we thought.
Yeah,
it could potentially be. I'm not surprised. I thought there was a lot of intriguing moves when it came to, teams just trying to, with the new CBA and everything. It was always going to be fascinating if teams were going to try to be kind of moving money around and eyeing the future because things are going to get really interesting this summer. I was listening to Bobby Marks talk about it this morning. And, obviously when you listen to cap guys talk about stuff, it's another type of your brain has to turn on. And I was like, oh gosh, yeah, today's going to be a little weird. Loved what the Knicks did, Metcalf. Yeah. I really did. I thought getting Bojan is a very underrated move. He's a problem as a Celtics fan. I'm very annoyed with that deal because I just saw it and I was like, no, I hate when they report it slowly where it was like, oh, yeah. Alec Burks, like, okay, you got another guy. And then I was like Quentin Grimes to Detroit. And I was like, wait, I like Detroit getting Quentin Grimes. And then all of a sudden it was like Bojan's also involved. It's like, what? No, this is a great trade. So it's a good deal for the Knicks. It's a big piece. I saw OG is going to have a little procedure to clear up something for a couple weeks. Great timing with the All-Star break.
Yep.
So, the bogeyman's going to get involved quickly. That's a very good piece. Knicks fans should be ecstatic. What do you thought?
Yeah, and it was, in the grand scheme of things, kind of a dud of a trade deadline where, there were some good moves where teams were kind of making stuff around the fringes, making sure to get under the tax line. Nothing blockbuster, but if we take the Siakam trade from earlier, if we take the OG trade from a couple weeks ago and just pretend that they were today's a lot more fun. We obviously didn't get some of the names that we were expecting, like a Bruce Brown or DeJounte Murray, who are both staying put, because I'm assuming teams pretty much lowballed them with those guys, and Atlanta and Toronto just said, thanks, but no thanks. So that was kind of surprising a little bit. But the big winner today was the Knicks to get Bojan, to get Alec Burks. Giving up Grimes, I think, kind of sucks, but Tibbs has kind of made it pretty clear that he's not playing him a whole lot and he doesn't really trust him. So bringing in two guys that have proven track records that, Alec Burks has been with the Knicks before. Their shooting, their size, there's versatility, and you're giving up Quentin Grimes 2 second-round picks and then just salary filler and Ryan Arcidiacono, Malachi Flynn, Evan Fournier. It's a really, really, really good return. And it adds a bit of depth. It adds a bit of versatility on the perimeter, and it's exactly what that team needs. So it wasn't quite the big superstar move, but I think it improves their overall rotation just astronomically.
I think the feeling with this deadline was it was going to be something for playoff teams, playoff contenders to go out and strengthen your team, get better.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the goal of everything. Is like every deadline is you want your team to get better and try to build for the future. But I think a lot of playoff teams were aggressive with trying to get depth. New York did a great job of getting Bogdanovich. He's going to be fantastic for them. I'm a big believer of when it comes to roster construction. I understand when it's a young up and coming player like Grimes coming into this offseason or coming into this year had a lot of a buzz of people thought like, oh man, he's going to break out and be something. I think you got to get to a point where it's like, you know what Bogdanovich is.
Yeah.
Grimes is an unfinished product. He may never get to where you want him to get to. So go get a guy. If you can get a guy, like I would always see, like, I know what this guy is. I know what he's going to help us right now. If we trade for him, he helps us, and Grimes turns into an all-star. Okay, yeah, like everyone will look back and be like, was that a bad? But right now, this is the right move for the Knicks. And I think you see that with a couple of these moves around here. It's like you went to go get a guy that you know what he is right now. Sometimes you might have to overpay, and people be like, "What are you doing?" But I liked what New York did.
I like Detroit getting Grimes too, and reuniting him with Sasser. I think that's going to be fun. Overall, I think it's kind of a pretty disappointing return for what was being speculated they would get for Bogdanovich, let alone Burks. So just getting 2 seconds and Grimes, it's kind of underwhelming. But I think we're going to kind of start to see what Quentin Grimes really has to offer, because unless Monty Williams kind of starts treating him like Jaden Ivey earlier this year and refuses to play him. Handful of other deals. I'm just going to kind of run through some of the big ones here. Jump in whenever you feel like it. Gotcha. 76ers got Buddy Hield for Furkan Korkmaz, Morris, and 3 second-round picks. Morris was then immediately rerouted to San Antonio for McDermott, so Pacers kind of replaced Buddy Hield's shooting there, and Korkmaz was immediately waived. Thunder got Gordon Hayward for Davis Bertans, Trey Mann, Micic, and draft compensation that I don't think has been released yet. Solid depth, size, versatility on the wing. Hayward, when he's healthy, is a very Thunder-esque player in the dribble pass shoot kind of combination. Takes away some of that wing creation responsibility from Jalen Williams. I would assume that he probably pretty much comes off the bench for most of the season, unless they slide him into the starting lineup for Josh Giddey. So I think that's kind of a really interesting fit if he can stay healthy. Pat Beverly to the Bucks for Cameron Payne and a second-round pick.
Hated that trade. Hated it as a Celtics fan. I was like, gosh, dang it. So, but I'm not worried, but I hated it. I was like, fucking Beverly. The guy's just exactly what you should want. Like, it was a very good move by the Bucks.
Yeah.
Clear mentality shift of, yep, we're going to get Pat. He improves people.
He's been with Doc Rivers before.
He's been with Doc. He's going to change the locker room the moment he steps in.
Yeah.
It was hilarious seeing
just a little bit of point of attack defense, which they have had absolutely zero of. And hey, maybe play Andre Jackson more than 0 minutes.
No, I don't know. Well, retweeting a bunch of compilations he had of like Dame and Patrick Beverly things was hilarious on Twitter. But it's the right move. You need to get a mentality shift. Beverly's going to do it right away. So I thought that was an underrated trade. Buddy Hield to the Sixers made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because they have a fuck ton of cap space for next year too. So they're going to be able to re-sign him pretty easily, and gives him time to kind of get incorporated this year. So if Embiid does come back, then he's ready to go. There isn't really much of a lag time in terms of kind of figuring stuff out. So I thought it was a really smart move on their part, and they didn't really have to give up much of anything for him.
I really did like Gordon Hayward to the Thunder. I know people were like, whoa, but I thought it was a very smart move. You know what you can get from him off the bench. He could start to find his groove. With that coaching staff, they're going to know how to get the best basketball out of him. If he finds his groove with them, he could be a guy that's closing games along with that lineup they have. We'll see what happens with Giddey. just matchups, you know, because they're thinking right now, like, okay, playoffs, what can we run at people? What can we have a little bit of wrinkles? It's going to get some very easy looks. Like Gordon Hayward's legs just got a year younger from what he's going to be playing alongside now compared to what they got going on in Charlotte. I like Charlotte getting Trey Mann. I think that's a great little.
Why not?
Why not? Like, let's see what he's got. I like
and
the team.
And the first. Oh, just to kind of go through that.
Yeah.
Charlotte also sent PJ Washington to Dallas for Grant Williams and a first round pick, 2027, I believe. Top 2 protected. Who knows what's going to happen with Kyrie? Who knows where, you know, Luka we would assume, be at MVP levels yet again, but Dallas has kind of done a weird job of constructing their teams around him. So who knows? That could be a really good pick down the line. But I like that move a lot for Dallas. The Grant Williams signing has not worked out at all. PJ Washington is really good. He's been having a really good season yet again. So I think he's going to be a pretty easy fit there too. And in a very confusing trade that I don't think all the details have come out yet, they also got the center from Washington, Daniel Gafford. From what I saw, there were just a whole bunch of different picks being moved all over the place, and OKC jumping in and adjusting swap rights. And I don't know what the exact details are on it, but it was basically Gafford for Rashawn Holmes, and then OKC jumping in to facilitate with picks.
Tankathon's gonna have a field day today. You know, they've got their hands full with updating all those picks. If you go look at like the Tankathon second round, there's only like 2 or 3 teams I feel like that have their original pick. Everything is just from another team, so it's hilarious. I like Dallas getting PJ. I've been dying to see PJ Washington on another team. I'm sorry, Hornets fans, that it feels like I'm ragging on you. I just want to see what he can do with another franchise. We're about to see it. The Grant signing was tough. It's looked tough. And then a couple underrated moves. I also, the Daniel Gafford one was like what?
And I like that addition.
I like it. It's good depth, but like, okay.
And he's better than Powell. And, you know, Derek Lively's obviously their center going forward, and he's been incredible for them this year. But Gafford's another just low maintenance, rim running, rim protecting, athletic center. And if you're going to bring him in off the bench, I think that's a huge upgrade over Powell. And you know, Lively's been hurt, so maybe he's just starting right away. Those type of guys are really easy to incorporate into an offense, especially one like the Mavs run, where all he's really doing is screening in the dunker spot and rim running, and just be ready, because Luka and Kyrie are going to get you the ball a whole heck of a lot at the rim.
Smart teams build right now for the playoffs. You know, they're looking ahead of like, okay, Lively's been banged up sometimes. What's our insurance policy for him?
And he's a rookie.
So like you need a vet. You need someone that can step up and play that role. A couple underrated moves I loved. I loved your T-Wolves getting Monty Morris. I thought that was a very underrated deal. And then I'm not trying to be biased. I absolutely love what the Celtics did. I absolutely love getting Tillman and Springer. You just need depth. We've seen this all the time. Like, playoff series are grueling. It's a grind. And you get to that second or third round, your team is banged up. You might have a game where you're like, I have to throw in our third string big to get me some minutes. So I just think it's important to make the little moves that can move the needle a tiny bit. It doesn't need to be a huge step. It just needs to be some good depth. So I like what Brad Stevens did. He continues to be someone, I said it a couple times, like, he was born to be in a front office. Good coach. Fantastic front office guy. So, yeah.
And just, you know, we were talking about contenders and guys getting better. I thought the Suns got a lot better.
That was an underrated move.
Brought in Royce O'Neal and David Roddy, which really surprised me that Memphis was moved off him this quickly. I thought he's been really solid in what I've seen from him this year. In return, the Grizzlies got Chimezie Metu, Yuta Watanabe, and a pick swap. I didn't see what the pick swap was or with who. I would imagine one of the Suns picks. And then the Nets got Keita Bates-Diop, Goodwin, and three second round picks. Just a lot of second round picks being moved today. So, you know, those will always be so much fun to track on draft night. And then also Raptors were very active again.
What the hell are they doing? I don't know what they're up to. Yeah, that's the last one we got to mention, and then probably, but like, Utah getting a 24 first rounder. I was very interested this morning to see if anyone was quick to include those picks or quick to say, give me that pick. Like, I think Danny Ainge is the perfect guy that says, like, now I can navigate the board. They're going to have 2 firsts, I think, as of now.
Yeah, so that pick, it looks like it will be the least favorable between Houston, the Clippers, OKC, and Utah.
Gosh, the Tankathon updated already.
So
monsters.
It's probably going to end up being OKC, wherever OKC picks. So mid to late 20s. But it's another first, and if Utah's guy is falling a couple spots and they want to move up a couple picks, that second first round pick in this draft might be the cost that gets them. They also moved Dennis Schroeder and Thad Young for Spencer Dinwiddie and immediately waived Spencer Dinwiddie. Aside from that, the big puzzling one was the Chicago Bulls just not doing anything. They are thriving on the treadmill of mediocrity and just never want to get off. Apparently, I don't know what they're doing. I can't imagine the offers were that awful for Caruso and DeRozan. DeRozan's expiring this year. I think you know exactly what this team is. They've reached their ceiling. That's it. They're at best a 7 seed. If they just want to be playing tournament warriors, congrats. But this is just a bizarre lack of direction from one of the most storied franchises in the league.
No, I don't get it. I feel terrible for Bulls fans. I saw like a NBA Central thing that there was a rumor, and every rumor is, take with a grain of salt, but there were Warriors and Bulls were talking Kuminga, Caruso stuff. And I was like, oh, that would have been fun. But I don't know what they're doing. I know Kobe White looks like he could potentially be their point guard of the future. So
God, I loved him coming out of UNC.
Yeah, I did too. And that's a huge development for them. So maybe you're thinking, okay, well, now we have our guard. Caruso, you don't want to get the bad hand of Caruso because he's such a valuable asset around the league. Everyone wants Caruso. So you're like, we can't get dimes on the dollar. We have to get everything we can get for him. But DeRozan, like you're saying, like, what are we doing? So it takes 2 to dance. Just tough. I saw like they haven't made a move in so long, and I was like, that's a big number. So I just, you got to do something. You're just stuck in mud right now, and I feel for Bulls fans, but hopefully they don't get the 7th pick, and we can get something exciting going on. But 7th pick, sorry.
Yeah, and a bad joke. Just shout out to Cosmo in the chat, reminding me we also had a couple former lottery picks get waived today, just outright. Killian Hayes, James Bouknight, not even moved. Always a bummer. You hate to see it, but that's the way it goes.
Unfortunately, that's one of my things I'm going to say for the best thing in basketball I've seen lately at the end of the episode. So I have a good rant about that. But yeah, tough day for a couple lottery picks.
All right. That's all we got on the trade deadline. Let's take a quick ad break, and then we're going to jump into our big board. Okay, Rucker, big board time. Again, just
baby.
Friendly reminder, this is the average of 8 or 9 different boards. So we're just going to run through 5 at a time in the first round, and then we'll speed it up a little bit and go 10-ish at a time. In the second,
graphics I made are 10 a pop, so we'll just talk about 5.
So spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. I tried to make some new graphics to get everyone excited, but I had to make 10 at a time. I didn't want to go that crazy. So
all right, fair enough. All right, well, number 1 overall shouldn't be a major surprise. But his average ranking continues to drop by the big board. But he's been our number 1 from start to today. That's Alex Sarr from the Perth Wildcats. At number 2, we have Cody Williams from Colorado. At number 3, Zachary Risa-Shea. Number 4, Nikola Topic. And number 5, Stephen Castle. Where do you want to start?
It's just amazing to me that, we keep hammering away, and I keep waiting for there to be a new number 1 with all these composite rankings. And then every time Metcalf sends me the final numbers, I'm like, gosh, Sarr is still holding on. And
by a thread.
It is hilarious. when you did that breakdown and you told everyone like, okay, so how it goes for everyone is like, okay, we submit him. Metcalf just gets into the matrix mode. He crunches all the numbers and then he tells everyone like, okay, no, it's up. Then we get to all go look at it and see and when you told me that 173 names were submitted, 10 players had a lottery grade, which was like a whoa. 24 players with a first round grade, 50 players with a ranking in the top 60. That just shows you how all over the place we still are. And it was my favorite board we've done so far. I loved how everything turned out. I was like, I'm going to have some thoughts later, but for the most part early on, I was like, this is a good board, good solid one. And then you get to a point where I'm like, is this better than mine? And then it's just funny how it works out. But I thought the top 5 was good. Just Sar holding on, just keeps holding on with that. What did you say? He was 2.6 or
2.5.
whatever, 2.5. So just, it's just, that's rare stuff. 2.5. That just means people are leaning away from him, but can't get enough people. Still some fans. So I don't have him at 1.
No, neither do I. I have him at 4.
I have him at 4 too. Good man.
Just stop copying.
We're smart. Come on.
So why do you think he's slowly dropping? I know when you just look at the rankings and our composite board and average rankings for everyone and all of our individual boards are available to No Ceilings Plus subscribers, but why do you think his average ranking kind of keeps slowly dropping by the month? Why do you think he's not as just consensus home run lock of a number 1 pick as he was a month ago, or at least being viewed that way by the community?
Because I think everyone's thinking the offensive game's a little bit more raw. He's not dominating the boards. It's tough it's tough to be excited for a full year on just like really special defensive big. Eventually you're like, I'm getting bored of this. Like, I'm going to need some more. I need some excitement. And I feel like even, watching Sar, he had a good recent outing when he returned. And
I think it was last weekend. He had a big game.
Yeah. You see the flashes. You're like, man, this looks good. But then offensively, I'm like, okay, what is he doing? And then I think teams are going to be intrigued, but they're going to be like, okay, what about the fit? And it's going to be weird. And I still don't like him going to Detroit if they got the first pick.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you? Like, is there something that can happen where you just are like, oh, I'm bouncing back in? Because I watch it pisses me off. And then I go watch the defense and I'm just like, gosh, this dude could really be something. But then offensively, I'm like, oh. And then he has a couple moves. You're like, my goodness. So it's just, I don't know.
The defense is one of the most exciting, just like individual traits, I think, in this entire draft class, especially when we're looking at guys at the top. You look at Nikola Topic's playmaking, you look at Sar's defense, you look at, Reed Shepard or Jacoby Walters shooting, that type of stuff. I think that his defense is one of the elite, just like individual skills. What I really started to get concerned with, though, is that this is going to sound harsher than I mean it to, but he plays kind of soft.
Yeah, you've been hitting at this.
His rebounding numbers are really bad for a guy his size and with his athleticism. His free throw numbers are really bad, and not just the free throw percentage, but how frequently he gets to the line. Almost all of his offensive stuff is pull-ups or perimeter based, and he doesn't get to the rim that much for someone as athletic as he is. And that obsession with being on the perimeter all the time and that lack of rebounding, it really, really concerns me. That doesn't take away anything from just how insane and versatile of a defender he is. And if he wasn't that good of a defender, he would not be at 4 for me right now. And I still kind of buy the shot somewhat. It's ugly-ish. There's some mechanical tweaks that need to be made, and the percentages have kind of steadily declined since the start of the year. But I think he has solid touch. I think there's stuff to work there and, at least get to league average. So I still kind of buy that. But what is he at the next level? Is he a center? Is he a power forward? If he's not scoring around the rim. And if he's not rebounding like that, you can't play him at the 5. You're going to have to play him alongside another big. And I just kind of worry about how fit dependent that's going to be. And if he doesn't go to the right situation, obviously fit matters with all these guys. But if he doesn't go to the right situation, I could see it getting pretty rough pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love his fit in a number of places. I get questions. I even get questions about him going to the Spurs and being next to Victor. Like, I know people get excited about that right away, but I'm like, okay, what are we doing with Jeremy? I don't know. It just gets a little messy. Obviously, if Washington's in love with them, you can figure it out. But if he's this thin-framed big that doesn't take on contact well, I don't know if I'm feeling good about playing him at the 5. So what are we doing there? I'm right there with you. I have the same questions. Really talented, good athlete with great size, but that frame needs to fill out for him to reach his potential. And then he is a lot of perimeter stuff, a lot of fadeaways, a lot of pull-ups, and then you get a spin dribble that looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you're like, can we get some more of this? So hopefully we get a little late run, and then I could see him going back up and being really intriguing to teams. But there's guys behind him that are starting to trend in the right direction. I thought, moving on, if it's cool with you, unless you have any other thoughts.
No.
So
Keep going.
I thought Cody at 2 was a loud endorsement from our team that he made that jump. I still think Cody looks fantastic. Last game he sat out. What did you say?
He's 2 on mine as well.
Yeah, I have him at 1. I love him. I'm all in. I've bought everything I've seen when it comes to stock. Topic getting back up there is great. And then Zachary, he had a bad game the other day and then just dropped 20 on efficient game. Like, I just think things are getting interesting. People are going to keep down in this class being bad. I understand it. And people are going to start getting interested and intrigued in a couple months of being like, hey, maybe there's some intriguing stuff. It happens with every single draft class that people like to say sucks when it comes to August. And we get closer to the draft and people are like, might not be that bad. There's some pieces. So I like the top 5. I still love Stephon Castle. I think he's been playing really, really good lately.
Yeah, I'm a little cooler on Castle.
I know you are because you're a thief of joy.
Well, no, I just like guys who don't pass up wide open threes every time they get a look from there.
He's building confidence. Okay, come on.
Confidence is the last
building
word.
it. Building it.
Yeah, he's starting from scratch. He's rubbing 2 sticks together trying to start a bonfire. But he just kind of makes winning plays on both ends of the court constantly. It's just, I don't know who he is in the NBA if he just never shoots it. And I would rather take a guy who's willing to take 3 to 4 a game on low volume than a guy who just doesn't ever look to shoot it. That really concerns me.
I get it.
Okay, let's move on to 6 through 10. At 6, we have Jacoby Walter. 7, Reed Shepard. 8, Modest Buzelis. 9, Rob Dillingham. 10, Dalton Connect.
Love seeing Dalton climb. Love seeing the Kentucky boys there. Had some folks on the line. Very angry that Rob was behind Reed, but I thought the rankings looked up great. I was shocked Buzelis got to 8. What about you?
Yeah. I think Modest I have Modest at 6, so I kind of get it. I don't love that. I struggle with it every time. I was kind of surprised Rob got into the top 10. Not because of who he is as a player, because I think he's super skilled. The playmaking, the shooting, the decision making, it's all been way better than I expected. We've covered that a ton, but everyone I talk to, is let's say skeptical about the 6'3".
Very skeptical,
and that's putting
very
it conservatively.
That was polite.
So just it's really hard. It's really, really hard for guards who are small like that to make it. So he's got to keep shooting it, keep playmaking like the way he is. I think he's worthy of a lottery selection for sure. So I'm not that far off with my ranking of him. I was just kind of surprised that the entire team had him that high.
Yeah. Where did I have him? I guess I had him at 11, so it's kind of right there. But I was just shocked more of like, oh, okay, everyone's up there right around that point. Yeah, very. It's the loud endorsement I feel like we've heard. It's very skeptical. Is some of the Kentucky rankings with people that ask about like the height. And I'm skeptical from watching it on tape. So we'll see what happens. Combine's going to be just a bloodbath this year. Good to see Dalton. My shameless plug. I know you have a piece tomorrow, correct?
On Reed.
On Reed. I have a scouting notebook piece for No Ceilings Plus. Pretty much poured my heart and soul about every thought I've had when it comes to late night watching. I did a lot of stuff on that, and I wrote about Dalton. Wrote actually his entire section. Then he had a stinker kind of against Kentucky, even though they won. And then he bounced back and had this big performance. So I was like, thank you so much for the time right there. Dalton's a bad man. I've loved what I've seen. I broke down a bunch of his film in my article. Love it. So I think he deserved to be at the top 10. I really do.
Yeah, and I have him at 12. I still worry about the defense, but the rebounding, the passing, the scoring versatility, it's kind of hard to deny at this point. You mentioned Reed Shepherd. I want to pick your brain a little bit on him because I have over 2,000 words coming out on him on Friday. By the time you're listening to it, I tried to dive as deep as I possibly could. The numbers are still absurd. I think they're very real at this point. But I came away more skeptical than I was going in.
Ooh, this got fun and interesting. Talk to me, Mr. Metcalf.
How would you describe his defense?
I mean, I like it. I think he's got violent hands. I think he's going to get targeted, but I think he also understands that. I think he's an intelligent defender. He's going to have to hold his ground early because he's going to be having a target on his back for obvious reasons. The same reasons Alex Caruso did early on. Yes, White, you're Ben Affleck. But he's going to be a little undersized. I hope he measures at 6'3". But I think he's an anticipation defender where he understands how to be a good on ball. Like when it comes to his hands, he understands how to read body language of like, okay, you're about to cross here, or you're about to try to make this pass. And he's a timely defender. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Where are you getting with this? You're cooking something. Spill it.
I think he gets bailed out by how incredible his hands are a lot.
That makes some sense.
His hands are the best in this class, incredibly quick, incredibly accurate. But I thought his overall defense was really rough.
Wow. Just
the fundamentals.
Navigation.
He's crossing his feet a ton.
Mm-hmm.
He gives guys a big cushion both on and off ball where he's never taken a drive into the chest. He's never deterring a guy from getting to their spots. There'll be a lot of times where he does a really good job of staying in front of them and staying in between the ball and the rim, but he's never stopping them from getting anywhere. And he's never making contact with them. The screen navigation, super inconsistent. The off-ball defense and he is one of my favorite clips out of anyone in this class where, he's defending the weak side. I think it was North Carolina. They're running a Spain pick and roll. He tags Baycott on the roll. RJ Davis pivots back, tries to make a skip pass, and he covers 20 feet, picks it off, and goes the other way for a transition dunk. There's stuff like that. And then there's other stuff where he's just sitting on the block and just doesn't close out to a guy, or his closeout is 10 feet short on a 40% shooter. And I don't think it's incorrectable. I think it's stuff that can be fixed, but the lack of fundamentals with him really surprised me based on what at the start of the season, where there's a lot of times where he's not even down in a defensive stance, where he's doing that thing where he's bending over at the waist instead of, getting down and sitting down and bending his knees. The footwork is really sloppy a lot of the time. So I with someone like him, I feel like you have to overly nitpick. And that's why I tried to do in my piece, because he doesn't have if he was 6'6", it wouldn't matter as much. But again, I've heard 6'3" is generous. Again, so I don't know. I'm intrigued. I buy the numbers. I think the at rim stuff is a little better than the numbers even suggest too. The shot is absurd. It's just the defense left me with a lot more let's say yellow flags than I had going into it.
No, that's interesting. When a guy like this is having so much success, we're not doing our jobs if we're not nitpicking. Nobody is. You have to, in a weird way, when a guy is just like, oh, he looks fantastic, everything's clicking. It's our job to be like, what are we missing? Like, what is going to prevent this train from picking up even more speed? That might be something where teams are like, yeah, he's been really impressive, and if you get him with a team that has a good foundational defensive, alignment around him, then maybe that can bring out him at a better coaching staff could be like, hey,
of course,
first week of film, be like, this ain't gonna happen, and maybe in summer league he just gets, oh crap, so I get it, but that's definitely something, so it's just funny with Reed because every time I've turned on their games to watch, he comes in and makes a play.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, him scoring. It's just he makes a play where I'm like, gosh, great pass. Good decision.
The passing really stood out too.
Yeah. So
not this like overly flashy playmaker. Like Dillingham has a ton of flair to his playmaking, incredible vision, anticipation, passing guys open. Reed's is a little more just really sound and consistent, really good floor vision too. And a lot of the stuff where when he does get into the lane, I think the interior, shot frequency numbers are so low is because he's looking to set up guys in those areas. So
Rob has the fancy, we'll get a lot of highlight passes. Reed will have war rooms, and when teams are having meetings with their scouts, Reed will have a lot of like, ooh,
yeah,
good read. That's the right read. Good decision. Like Reed has a lot of drive. He had a sequence where I think Dillingham or someone threw him an extra pass for a 3. He shot fake, drove, and then threw it back to Dillingham and wide open. I was like, oh man, that was nice. It was playing great chemistry, great basketball. So I think they're both rising. They're both legit, but Combine's going to be their biggest enemy, and we'll see what happens. But if they keep playing like this, at some point, teams are going to be intrigued with what they can bring to the table.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to 11 through 15. So at 11, we had Ron Holland, 12, Kyle Filipowski, 13, Donovan Clingan, 14, Kevin McCullough, and 15, Tyler Smith.
Pick it. Tell me, where do you want to go?
Why is Donovan Clingan still that high?
You're saying he should be lower? I hate talking this way. Do you say he should be lower towards 60 or higher towards 1? I do that way. People do lower as in like lower in numbers. I do higher as in higher up on your board.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at my board as like a ladder almost, where
so like if you're going higher, you're going towards 1. Yes. I can't get over the Clingan potential. I need him to be healthy for the next month and give me more of a sample size, and then I think I'm going to be like, okay.
And how confident are you in his ability to do that? Not just for the next month, but for the next.
My panic meter of Donovan Clingan?
Yeah.
5? Can I cheat? No, 6 or 7.
Okay.
He has like somewhat. We had some fans be like, "Oh, he's had major foot injuries." I was like, "No, he didn't have major foot injuries. We're not talking about a stress fracture here, like serious out for a year plus. Like he's had some stuff that we're just worried about with his weight. So he's just got to stay healthy the rest of the year, I think. But hey, he just had a big performance.
Yeah.
I just need the minutes. He's going in and doing this in like 19 minutes, and I need to play extended time. We'll see. This is what's going to happen. UConn's going to be a wagon. They're going to have a deep tournament run. If he's playing healthy and playing big minutes and keeps performing, he's going to start buzzing again. He's going to start creeping back up.
And that's when the minutes for UConn matter. That's what they're aiming for. They want to repeat. They don't, and they care about these games, but they're not losing sleep over a game.
They're going to wait to the tournament and let him. They're going to be dominant in his time.
Hopefully,
we're running. Yeah, hopefully. But I'm just patient with him. But I also understand people cooling off on him. Where you moved him down, didn't you? Where did you put
21?
Yeah, I knew that you would do that. I get it. I get it, but I don't know. I'm still in.
Yeah, I'm not out. I need to be
You're
convinced.
yeah,
I'm skeptical.
yeah.
When guys that big have this many foot injuries this early in their career, it worries me. I think he fouls a lot too, where and he just leans on guys in the post where it's like, man, what are you doing? No one can move you. What are you doing? Like, you don't need to lean on the 6'9" center from Seton Hall. Random numbers. I don't know who the center from Seton Hall is, but it's like, what are you doing, man? Like,
Right.
he's defending guys in the post like he's a point guard against a power forward. It's like that's not what you're supposed to be doing. But then you see him in drop coverage and move his feet and swat a shot from the weak side. It's like, oh, okay, that's why you're getting top 10 buzz. So, anyone else in this group and you want to talk about?
Are you shocked about Ron Holland?
No,
I'm not either.
I think
I have him higher. Everyone yelled at us, and I was like, I have him higher.
So do I. I have
calm down. Everyone calm down.
I'm not the problem here.
I'm not the problem. It's not me, I swear. No, I got Ron in my top 10. I'm a believer.
I think the upside, especially in this class, the upside and potential with him is too much to not have in your top 10. I have very serious concerns about a lot of his game, but if things go right,
here's my thing with Ron. Very serious concerns. He's going to end up going to a place that's going to be a great fit for him. I'm convinced of it. He's going to fall somewhere where I'm going to be like, that's a great addition alongside what you've got building. He's also going to turn 19 at Summer League. I don't think Ron's best basketball is done. I think he's going to find a couple levels. No. So I'm still believing. Now I have him, after some guys. Dang it. I forgot to call you out on someone, but I will save that for the green room. Yep. It's going to be spicy. You're not going to like me. Okay. That's a little cliffhanger for everyone. I'll probably piss off Metcalf at the end of the show.
That's exciting.
We moving on?
Sure.
Okay, great.
All right.
I will say Tyler Smith still, every time I watch him, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm still in. I just every single time. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. 16, Ryan Dunn. 17, TJ Saloon. 18, Johnny Furphy. 19, PJ Hall. 20, Dylan Jones.
Here's Johnny. Gosh, I love how he ended up there. I thought that was a great spot for him. Big jump, and I was proud of the No Ceilings team. I'm still a believer on Dunn. I understand the slip a little bit. I get the questions offensively, but every single time I watch him defensively and I go back, the things I do with Dunn Metcalf is I literally get frustrated and I go back and watch his defense and I'm like, no, okay, I'm still good. Just keep watching the defense, but someone's going to just be head over heels for his defense with their team. I don't think he's going to go top 10, but I think someone's going to target him as a defensive monster that they can slowly allow the offense to develop with time. Does that make sense? I know you're cool. I know you're cool. I can read. You have a terrible poker face. I can read.
I'm not trying to hide it. I have him at 24.
Oh gosh, Metcalf's gonna love this comment. How could Dunn be high, but Kwame Evans not in top 20?
Kwame Evans is in my.
Is
top
that your
20.
burner account? Good comment. Good comment.
I have Kwame Evans in my top 20. But nice try. No, I'm kidding. I talked about Stephen Castle not having any confidence in terms of scoring and shooting. Dunn's is even lower.
Yep. I get it.
He reminds me of, like, I don't doubt that he'll have a good NBA career. But is it good like Matisse Thybulle, where he's kind of bouncing around the league a bunch and just kind of playing spot minutes here and there on good teams and getting 6-man fringe starter minutes on a bad team? Or, does he find the absolutely one or two perfect landing spots that gets him 20 minutes a night? And I'm just not, guys like that who are so incredibly fit dependent just really worry me. And just like Castle, the ball will swing to him on the wing. There's no one within 20 feet of him, and he doesn't even look at the rim. And it hurts because I don't think his shot looks that bad. but there's zero confidence or willingness or eagerness to ever take a jumper.
Someone's just going to go in on it. Someone wild, like OKC, is going to go out of nowhere and just be like, we're going to take him. We're going to add him to it, and we're going to figure out the shot, and he's not going to need to score. You know what I'm trying to say. Like the Lou Dort replacement or something, although they're going to take Kevin McCullough. We all know this. So I get it. I get the hesitation. I also understand why he might slip a little bit. I think that's a good ranking right there for him. I think we were very excited about him early on in the year. Everyone was, because we were like, oh, the shot might come around. It hasn't. So we have a defensive specialist that we are hoping can have an offensive shot be untapped eventually, which is always scary to draft too early, especially in a class like this. So I get it. Who else? Who else you got? I just love the Dylan Jones ranking more and more. I'm telling, if everyone hasn't watched him closely, my goodness. Oh, he's a bad dude. Great kid. Gonna have great intel. He does everything on the court. I did a deep dive on his film, and I was just like, "Ooh, Dylan, you're having a year, buddy. You had a year last year. You're having a fantastic year this year." So I love that he ended up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Giant Furphy. I know we just did a whole episode on him the other day, but were you surprised that he jumped this high?
Furphy, sorry, you cut out for a second.
Yeah, were you surprised that Furphy jumped this high?
No. Yes and no. I was pleasantly surprised seeing his name there, and then I loved where everyone is kind of mentally with his stock. I think he's going to keep climbing. I wrote about him in my scouting notebook piece. The splits are very impressive from beginning of the year to now. All of a sudden, he's getting these starts. He's playing extended minutes. He's efficient. He knows his role. He has crazy upside. I like the defense. People don't like the defense. I like the defense.
I don't understand at all.
I love the off-ball.
Very good defender. Not very good. I think he's a solid defender with upside of being a very good defender.
Yes. So I like the tools. Like the tools a lot.
I have him top 5. Just gonna slip that.
Do you really?
I have him at 5.
We got to move on.
Yep.
Your updated one or your before one?
No, for this. Show me a 6'9" shooter. Yeah, show me one in this class.
For everyone that's not with the No Ceilings Plus stuff, Metcalf was on a heater with the comments about Furphy. Someone asked about Furphy, and Metcalf basically was like, I've been waiting for this moment.
We did a whole episode on him.
Yeah.
Go check that out. It was the other week, and we also posted it as a separate pod too. All right, let's move on to 21 through 25, but take our last ad break. Okay, at 21, we have Yves Missy, 22, Isaiah Collier, 23, Zach Edey, 24, Kwame Evans Jr., 25, Tyler Kolek.
Spicy is a good range because there's just galore thoughts. Missy's definitely climbing. Some good stuff. I think people are realizing at No Ceilings that we just know that he's going to end up going earlier. You know what I'm saying? He's going to end up going in the first, obviously, but I think teams are going to fall in love with his tools, potential. Collier at 22 is going to shock some people that haven't been following. Edey at 23, Metcalf, just unreal. Can't do it. I can't buy it. So go ahead, take over. Are you surprised Kwame's still up that high?
No.
Yeah.
I think there's just an insane amount of potential with him. I think the defense is really, really good and something that you can really build on. The offensive concerns, I think they are what they are, and that's pretty common with guys of that archetype. But I think the defense alone is enough to get a team excited. And then, say the shooting improves just a little bit as the season rounds out. Say he gets into camps or workouts and shoots the crap out of it, plus displaying his length, his athleticism, the defensive stuff. I think it'd be pretty easy to get excited about him as a first rounder.
Yeah. I completely get it. I think that'd be a raw ball of clay. Situation might be everything. We've seen how Oregon players, go. So I'd like to see him getting some extended minutes. He was really impressing. And now they've kind of gone off of that for seniors and stuff. That's always fun. So,
Always fun.
What else you got? Tyler Pollock continues to be a bad man. Go ahead.
Yves Missy continues to rise for me.
Yeah, me too.
He's in my lottery now. There isn't. I don't know. I'm struggling to figure out what his like elite skill is, like what makes him so fascinating. I think he's a really good defender, good athlete, all that kind of stuff. But I think for me right now, it's just the consistency of all of it, where he's not putting up monster stat lines every night, but he's consistently making an impact. He's consistently doing the little things. He's consistently executing his assignments and his responsibilities. And for a kind of a pretty raw, really athletic center like that, I think that's really intriguing and someone that you can kind of plug and play play style wise into 90% of NBA rosters. So I'm not saying he's going to be a day one ready to contribute rookie, but it's pretty, those type of guys aren't as fit dependent as some of the other centers that we've kind of already mentioned in the top 20.
Yeah, I still think there's a DeAndre Jordan path for him where you get a really nasty defender who's just a disaster to have to deal with his athleticism when he figures out how to, exploit defenses and get to his spots. And he's going to be a terrifying lob threat because he just looks like the Incredible Hulk out there. So I get it. Teams are going to be getting him in a gym and be like, whew, this kid jumps out of the gym. He's going to be a problem. We can make life simple for him early on. So I get it. Anything else with that range or?
No, let's move on and finish out the first round here, or top 30. 26, Kaishan George from Miami. 27, Bobby Clintman. 28, Deron Holmes. 29, Tyrese Proctor. 30, Jared McCain. I think George is the big name to talk about here.
Yeah, we should probably spend some time on George. So I will say one of the last people I talked about in my scouting notebook piece was Deron Holmes. I think what he's doing lately is getting very slept on. I was pleasantly surprised to see the No Ceilings crews kind of getting back on that train. He's having a very good year. I think he's going to just be one of those guys that's like, oh, okay, here we go. It's back in on the Deron Holmes train. George is, if you're not following closely, that is the name. Like everyone's talking about Johnny Furphy. I talked about George in my piece too. A lot of good names. Come on. No Ceilings Plus. I'm bringing the heat with this one. I promise. I always do. And I said, everyone's talking about Johnny Furphy right now. George is going to be the next one. Feel like we've heard from people that those are the two names everyone's very excited about.
Yes.
And George doesn't take long when you watch his stuff to get the tools, the crazy upside. It's beautiful. It's really fun stuff. Where are you at with him, Metcalf?
Yeah, and kind of similar to Furphy's 6'8" shooter. I think over 40% from three on the year, 41.5% from three on the year, and the bulk of his shots come from the perimeter. And 78% of his shot attempts this year are jumpers, and 95 out of his 105 jumpers this year are from three. So it's a 6'8" perimeter kind of dependent guy. I do worry about the kind of lack of rim pressure and stuff like that, but he has very clear ball skills, good passer, really high defensive upside too. So I definitely get the appeal with him, and I don't see why there isn't a reason to have him first round minimum, given the production that he's been showing, given the versatility he's been showing. And it's been an all year kind of thing too. And it's not just he's gotten an opportunity these last couple of weeks. He's been getting minutes for the bulk of this season. And he looks really, really intriguing. Sometimes I think there are stretches where he can kind of disappear, just go through the motions, but some of the stuff with that Miami team isn't the most ideal fit. So just when you talk about just raw potential on the wing, few guys are as intriguing as he is in this draft.
Yeah, really good flashes, really good tools. I like the outside shot a lot. I think it's just smooth. I think he's under control with his game. And he can, he's listed around like 6'8", and I swear he looks like he's 6'10". Like he just looks like a giant on the court. Yeah, it's probably the hair. But he just covers a lot of ground. I think it's fluid. I think it's someone that's figuring out still what he can do. Had good numbers overseas, kind of playing before he came to Miami. I thought it was an intriguing guy. This was a guy we talked about in the preseason. We were all like, hey, he's going to be a fun one after a couple of years at Miami. Like this is going to be a guy to watch out for. And then all of a sudden it became, we might need to be talking about George as a this year guy. And I think now NBA teams, from what we've heard, are very, very excited about that one. So, those are the two names, Johnny Furphy and George. Those are the ones to look out for. So, that's all I have on him. I'm very, very excited about his game. What else do you got? Anyone else in this range?
No, let's move on to second round and just
do it.
Fly through these guys.
Let's fly. We can do 10 at a time if you want. Here we go. Look at that switcheroo.
Seamless. All right. At 31, Trey Alexander. 32, Pacome Dadier. 33, Khalil Ware. 34, Nick Clifford. 35, AJ Johnson. 36, Izan Almansa. 37, Adem Bona. 38, Kobe Johnson. 39, Tristan Da Silva. 40, AJ Mitchell.
I will fight everyone to get AJ Mitchell up this damn board. No, I actually really was intrigued with this range. Trey had a rough stretch. Metcalf, he's quietly put some good games together. I still think I could see him being kind of an early second round guy. I think we've heard that there's still a lot of NBA teams that are intrigued at a certain range. Khalil Ware's right range.
Is he?
I'm lower, but I also think he just had a bad game. Box score, I haven't watched it, so I can't say it was a bad game. But box score wise, it was disappointing.
Seems like a common theme.
Yeah, he's been productive this year. Neek is the name that's going to shock everyone. It was one of my favorite comments we got in our Discord channel the morning of. Was like, who the hell is Neek Clifford? And Corey's been banging that drum all year pretty much. I wrote about him in my piece. I watched his film, Metcalf. Oh my gosh, I love him.
Yeah.
Have you watched him closely?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad dude. That's a bad dude.
He's very good.
Very good. He's very good defender.
Yes. When we talk about 3-and-D wings, that's
Corey. I was like, what? I was like, Intel on Neek. I'm watching. I'm really in love. And he's like, I've heard good stuff. And then Corey was like, you need to go watch him against Trey. And I watched him.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So he's a bad dude. I really like his game. Versatile. People are going to be like, you're going to see him be like, oh, he's a senior. He went to Colorado for 3 years, transferred to Colorado State. And all of a sudden he's having one of those years of like, oh, you guys should have remembered me. Stud. I like his game a lot. He's just tough. That's all I had. Sorry, my real rant. You take over. Rant about someone. Come on. Who do you got?
No, let's go positive.
Okay, good.
Why is Tristan Da Silva this low? Why is he not a first rounder?
Too?
Why is he not a first rounder? What does he do that toolsy NBA forwards don't?
Okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go backwards to go forward. Shout out Willy Wonka. Here's the 21 to 30. Who should Tristan Da Silva be up instead of? Would you take Bobby Klintman or Tristan Da Silva?
Oh, Da Silva.
Yeah, I would too. Here we go. We're having fun. So,
I have Da Silva at 17.
Oh, okay. Can you get me? I want to take the next leap. And I had Da Silva at 28, but I want to jump up again. So can you get me? You can't say he's Grant Williams because Grant Williams just got traded after, his first year of his
PJ Washington.
Is he PJ Washington? Okay, but no, I get it. When I watched Da Silva, I was watching a game, scouting Cody Williams, and Da Silva kept making plays. I was like, man, nice read. Like good, smart decision. He just seems like a guy that you probably can't take off the floor in a playoff series. Like you probably are like, Da Silva's coach is going to be like, it's Tristan, get back in. Like, I feel better when you're in the game. Like, just seems like he understands his strengths, plays to it. Smart player. I get it. It's just one of those guys. I feel like there's always this one player in a draft class where I'm like, I have to keep watching to keep moving up.
Yeah.
I have to keep watching. And then I feel like when I watch him, I'm like, he just does a lot of good stuff. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, he's 20? He was 18 and 7 and 5. Like, he just checks boxes, I guess.
Yeah. And like none of his numbers just leap off the screen to you because and just production's not his thing, I guess, is one way to put it, which is just a really strong starting point to try and sell you on a
I thought he
prospect.
has good numbers.
No, they're good, but like just like looking at offensive rebounding rates just 4.1, defensive rebounding rate 15.5, assist of 15.2, block of 1.7, steal of 1.9, 37% from 3. They're good. They're just not great. They're not overly above average. They're just really solid. But then when you watch him, his rotations are perfect. He's always in the right place on defense. Good screener, efficient scorer, good decision maker, keeps the ball moving, makes the extra pass. He doesn't, it doesn't stick with him. He doesn't have to catch, survey, pull it back out, then do something with it. It's just a really simple kind of plug and play, low maintenance, toolsy forward who can make an impact at a really high level on both ends of the floor. He kind of reminds me of like Nick Batum on the Clippers, where is he going to win you a title? No. Is he going to make your team better and provide you with a lot of lineup versatility? Yeah. So I think especially in this draft, once you get past a certain range, I think there are going to be a lot of kind of early or like lower seed playoff teams where they're like, man, he just kind of covers up a lot of holes in our lineup. And we can just kind of do some really fun stuff with him.
I mean, I get it. One of the biggest games he's going to have, probably a game that if you need to sell yourself on, Tristan, scouts are probably going to circle this game when they're talking about him. They played Miami earlier in the year, neutral site. Cody Williams missed that game. He had 22, 10, and 9. Like, it's just, he's had some games like that where you're like, whoa, big numbers. And I know, like, when you look at the averages, you're probably like, but he shows up some games. Like, he shows up, but some games he just like, whoa, like had a game where he got to the line 10 times. He went 10 for 10 from the line. Like, just fills it up a little bit. I think plays the role. And he is going to be a guy that everyone's going to be like, just like, okay. But then we end up looking back and those guys end up playing 12 years in the league and everyone likes them and they're a big piece of your rotation. So this is always a boring guy. And we're like, what about the one and done freshman? Well, maybe you just go get Tristan da Silva. You hit yourself a single instead of swinging for the fences and swinging, striking out.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at synergy here real quick just to give you a little more encouraging numbers than some of the rates. And 78th percentile overall points per possession, 86th percentile spotting up, 79th post up, 67th on cuts. Moving on to the next page, 73rd percentile on all jumpers, 80th shooting off the catch, 90th percentile when unguarded, 84th percentile on runners, 79th percentile around the rim. So it's not high volume. It's not dynamic on-ball creation, but it's efficient. It's really efficient, and it's just almost always the right decision.
Right. Absolutely. Moving on.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So
41-50.
41, we have Alex Caravan. At 42, Oso Iguodaro. 43, Wooga Poplar. 44, Carlton Carrington. 45, Alex Tui. 46, Justin Edwards. 47, Trayvon Brazil. 48, Otega Owe. 49, Devin Carter. And 50, KJ Simpson.
It's a rough patch because there's a lot of names that I'm like, whoa, this was the this range.
Group doesn't do much for me.
It woke me up in a hurry. I think Devin Carter's trending up of this group. KJ Simpson deserves to be in the top 60. I think what he's done this year is ridiculous. And when you see his numbers, it even gets more impressive. So I'll be interested to see those two guys. Like, people might be like, hey, that's too low. They weren't even on our top 60 at all. I think maybe Devin Carter might have snuck in last time, but I don't know off the top of my head. But like, the fact that they've made that much of a jump is huge. Otega jumping that low was a big like, whoa, okay, which I get though. Justin Edwards, just tough. Can I ask you a question?
Always.
Why? And some people have DM'd me and asked me this, and I'm like, these are good questions. Why aren't we all buying into Caravan more?
I don't know. I ask myself that
every day
too, and
every day.
I have him at 52, and I don't like it. It's
no,
too
I don't.
low.
I'm right there with you. I think I have him too low, and I every time I do it, I'm like, I like Caravan. Why can't I? I have him at 42, and I keep watching him all the time, and I'm like, why would I not move Caravan up more? It's driving me crazy.
Because like, it's got to be physical build, I'm assuming. Because he's a good defender. He obviously struggles against some of the quicker guards, but when he's matched up against another forward, I think he moves his feet well. I think he's got good instincts. He's obviously an awesome shooter. There's almost no on-ball creation with him, which I think may be a turnoff for some people. I don't know, but I recognize that I'm way too low on him, and I can't quite put my finger on why, which is a really poor defense.
No, because I'm right there with you. I mean, on the year he's averaging 14 and 5 on 52, 39, 89, which sounds intriguing. He was having a heck of a stretch. He had a 6-game stretch of averaging 16 and 5 with almost 2 assists and 1.2 blocks on 58, 55, 84. And then his last 3 games come back to earth a little bit. He's averaging 9 points on 41, 30, 100. But the problem is when that UConn team's cooking, someone has to take a back seat because Cam Spencer's getting hot, or, Tristan Newton. The team's just a wagon. So I like Caravan. It pisses me off because every single time I have to get reminded that I think he's a redshirt sophomore, and he's younger.
So I think he's junior age technically.
Yes, he's 21. He turned 21 in November. Yes. So he's technically a sophomore, but everyone just keeps saying, like, why isn't Caravan moving up more? And I'm like, I think it's just because when Caravan's clicking and everything's good, he looks like a guy that should be going in the first round. But then when the shot's not going, it's like, well, what is Caravan doing on the court? He's a smart player. I'm not taking that away. I don't want it to sound like a bad way, but he's a shooter that needs the shot to be falling. I don't know if the on-ball creation.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter with his game.
He'll never, ever be asked to do that.
No, he's going to be asked to be like a
George Niang,
Sam Hauser.
Yeah.
Which those guys find a way to stick around for a while because what their NBA skill is exactly what teams want. So it's always something that's in my mind. I'm like, why can't we all buy in on Caravan more? And I think everyone at No Ceilings likes him, but we just all know, like, his skill, we would draft him at some point of the draft. So I just had that thought for you.
No, it's a good one because he has an effective field goal of 62.6 while taking over 10 3-point attempts per 100 possessions. So high volume, really high efficiency.
Is this a Malik Mack shout out?
It is.
There's a reason he's not in the top 60.
Okay, moving on.
Not bad. It's not bad reason. It's just I don't think he's going to be a 24 guy. So we love him, and we always talk about him. Yeah, he's very fun.
Okay, moving on. Let's round this out. 51, we have Jameer Watkins. 52, Juan Nunez. 53, Harrison Ingram. 54, DJ Wagner. 55, Adama Alpha Ball. 56, Dylan Mitchell. 57, Jonathan Mobo. 58, Reese Beekman. 59, Aaron Bradshaw. 60, Donovan Dent.
You pick where you start, Metcalf. You know what? I'll do it. How about a little shout out to Mr. Reese Beekman, making it all the way back. We missed you, baby. I was so proud when I saw him. He's been good this year. I think Reese is going to find a way to be either he's going to get to the G League and show everyone that he's
such a good defender.
He's just going to find a way to be on a roster. The Spurs are going to draft everyone, and then they're just going to make Reese Beekman's our guy for the future. We trust him. No, kidding. Bad jokes aside. I think DJ Wagner will shock some people. I'm not shocked. Harrison Ingram, what a performance he just had. I believe he's trending in the right direction. Adama Ball, baby. Welcome to the top 60.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got?
Not much. That group doesn't do much for me, but it's so tough because when you look at like the average rankings, especially in that range, there are a lot of names who are really, really close. So I don't know. Juan Nunez is really fun. Love his playmaking. The defense has been an absolute disaster. And I still don't know if I buy the shot or not. Just seems to go in a decent amount, but God, those mechanics are funky. And Dylan Mitchell has been really fun this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of, I think kind of best case outcome with him is trying to figure out how to make a Peyton Watson-esque impact with an NBA team. Obviously, that's really hard, and you have to go to the right place to do it. But he's starting to show kind of some of that similar stuff.
I'm looking at the rankings and that you put together on the composite one, and the math at that range is unbelievable how close it is.
Yeah.
Just some of the names that just missed out. It's like by like 0.5. It's so just to show everyone, like there was a lot of names that were very close to getting in on the top 60. So there's names trending in the right direction. That's all I had, Metcalf. I mean, I liked it. I think there's still going to be a lot of movement, but I like how the board's shaping up. I think everyone's getting sort of a grasp when it comes to this class. Finally, we're getting a better idea.
Yeah. D. Steven in the chat is asking about DJ Wagner. I think kind of group wide we were pretty skeptical and hesitant on Wagner coming in. I don't think anyone had him top 5. He started like late first round, fringe first round for me. I like his work rate. I think his defense has been better than I expected. It's just, is he going to shoot it? And some of the decision making, it's trending in the right direction, but I think he would be really well served with another year.
I'm right there with you. That's a good question. We'll show it up there. I had a lot of questions about DJ coming into the year from when we saw him in Portland drink, and those questions have been a little bit echoed. I'm with Metcalf. I think the defense has been better than I thought it was going to be. The finishing stuff is just still alarming to me, and we'll see. You never really know. Yeah. There's still a lot of time, which we're going to find out. NBA teams might be higher on some guys that the public might be lower on. It's all over the place. So I just personally, I was lower on him from the beginning. I stated I wanted to be wrong. So we'll see. We'll wait and see. I'm still rooting for him. I'm never rooting against anyone. Before we move on, lockdown, some people had questions about why we didn't have Big Z in the top 60. He just missed the cut. The problem is this is why I'm so proud of the No Ceilings too. We don't really go off of overreactions. Like a lot of people, like Big Z had that one good game where he just couldn't miss. It was just like the perfect debut.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, I have him at 20. And I think that's the best thing about our No Ceilings team is like everyone's been patient. They're like, no, let me get a couple more games. And he had a couple more games where we saw that it was a little bit more raw, and everyone's being patient. Like I still had him. I had him in my top 60, but I had him at 52. Like I'm in wait and see mode. You're not going to get me jumping to lottery just because of one game. I loved him as a prospect coming from Croatia. I'm still very intrigued with him, but you're not coming in out of nowhere and getting me to bite. I'm gonna wait and see. So very intrigued. We just got to get more of a sample size.
Any names that you were like really surprised that didn't make it, or that you have way higher? A couple for me. I have Antonio Reeves in the first round. I don't know what else this dude has to do to get a little bit of love. His off-ball scoring has been insane this year. The defense is what it is, but I think he's more than just a spot-up shooter where he's hitting movement stuff, attacking closeouts. Some of the passing out of those situations has been really solid too. So if you're just a playoff team and you need a shooter, like a lot of these teams do, I think you could do way, way worse than than Reeves. I kind of get some like Isaiah Joe vibes from him a little bit. So I think he deserves a lot more love and is one of the better prospects on that Kentucky team. Matthew Cleveland, another name. I've been trying to get people to fall in love with KJ Adams for 3 years now. I will never quit it. I've accepted that none of you will accept it, but God, I love that kid.
I love him. I wouldn't be shocked if someone drafts him. I just wouldn't be shocked if some team in the late second round is like, we love KJ Adams. We're not going to let him get to free agent, or we're not going to let him be undrafted. We want to have him with us. And he screams a two-way guy that they continue to develop and see if he can be a rotation piece. For me, Jalen Tyson from Cal.
Yep.
I think he's trending in the right direction in a hurry. I had him in my top 50. Hunter Salas, I think, just keeps plugging away. I have him 50 to 60 range. Like I've liked what I've seen. We'll see if, when I do a super deep dive, if I'm still buying. St. Thomas of Northern Colorado. Shout out Evan on our team. Just wrote a piece about him today. Great story. Very skilled, just crazy numbers, very productive, just a sleeper that I think is a name getting buzz now. And we see this happen time and time again. You start getting buzz and then people are going to go start watching you. So if that buzz continues and you keep producing, then he can start climbing in a hurry. But I like his game a lot, very skilled. I need more, need to keep watching. But I like his game a bunch. I'm trying to think of any other names.
Only other like big one for me, Ariel Hookporty.
You still won't stop fighting that.
He's going to be a backup center for.
There's a lot of guys
for 2 contracts. Like he's just, his defense has been exceptional. Really good athlete, great in transition, really good rim runner, great hands. There are so many guys that I would take him over so many guys that we have in our second round. I think he's going to be able to provide 15 minutes off the bench pretty consistently right away.
I mean, there's a lot of guys in this class that are going to be crawling to get drafted. Like, Peyton Sanford of Iowa started to make a little bit of buzz because he's a big wing that can shoot it. And we all know how teams are going to look for shooters, and he's got good size, good shot. So that's another name. This is the type of class that makes me even more angry about the stupid forfeit thing, because we're going to have 2 less kids get drafted. But it's also why this year I love it being a 2-day thing, because teams are going to be trying to trade. And
second day is going to be chaos.
It's going to be chaos because now people are going to be like, well, they're going to have more time to figure out, like, I don't want to spill too much. There's the agent stuff that's going to be going on, and trying to get guys to make sure you're drafted, and trying to navigate away because it's just going to be hilarious. So I'm excited, but no, there's a lot of intriguing depth, and it's the 1 year in which it seems like a top 60 isn't enough, because there could just be so many guys going all over the place.
Okay. That's all I got on big board. Let's jump into rookie roulette. Go with Amen Thompson. We can be kind of quick with this, but we want to make sure we give him the respect that he deserves. So Amen Thompson was the 4th pick to the Houston Rockets from OTE. He ended up 8th on our final composite big board. He is currently averaging 17 minutes, 7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 2.3 steals, 1.5 stocks on 48.8, 16.2, 66.7 shooting splits. Over the last 10 games, though, he's starting to get a bigger role and kind of starting to figure stuff out. Over those 10 games, he's averaging 21 minutes, 9.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 2.2 stocks on 53.7, 20, and 70 shooting splits. Rucker, what have been your kind of early reactions with Amen Thompson's rookie season?
I think it's right on schedule. I think, a lot of people are going to want Houston to be being like, hey, he's got to play way more. I think they're doing perfect job with Amen. Sorry if I'm a little off of, maybe I'm not 100% accurate here, but I know, like, beginning of the year, then he had that injury, was out for an extended amount of time, came back. They threw him in the G League to get him some run, get him up to speed. He had crazy numbers. And then, you got a coach now that's holding this team accountable. And Van Vliet goes down and he's getting an opportunity now to play extended minutes. Like you just hinted on, his last 4 games, he's averaged 12.5, 8.3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 55-0, 62. And, Houston right now, 23 and 27. They're 1 game back of Golden State for the play-in, if I'm correct. And they're 4.5 games back of Dallas for the 8th seed. So they're going to be clawing, trying to just get into the play-in game, see what happens. But I think what I've loved seeing from Amen is what me and you kind of talked at the beginning of this show before we even hit record, is he's starting to look like his brother on the defensive side of the ball, which I think is a big tip of the hat to Ime Udoka and that staff. For rookies are going to come in and be like, hey, I'm this stud top 10 pick. Like it's, I'm going to be starting soon. And good coaches are going to be like, you're going to get on the court while playing defense. And what we wanted to see with the men from his OTE days was, could he unlock that consistent defensive ability? He's making some fantastic plays. That Indiana Pacer game, he was all over the place. There's just flashes where you get to a point watching him where you're like, this kid figures it out, and everyone buckle the hell up, because it's going to be fun. But it's obviously the shot, but he's just figuring out stuff now that's not even related to the shot. And, you brought it up before we recorded. You're like, man, he's figuring out what to do off the ball, which is everything we said at OTE. I was like, he's got to figure out how to adapt off the ball to really find another level of his game. Go ahead.
Which is a tough pivot to make when you've always been the on-ball guy, when you've always been the creator. Last Sunday I was lucky enough to be covering the Timberwolves in person, and they played the Rockets that night. So I got to watch Amen Thompson warm up and kind of go through his pregame routine and take jumpers, pregame, and then see him up close and personal. And my God, the athleticism pops in person. I know it pops in screen, but God, him and Cam Whitmore in person, it's something else. But in that game and all season, they've been playing him kind of more as a wing, and that's forced him into being more of a kind of complementary player, which is so new for what he's done historically, going back to high school and OTE, where he's always had the ball. He's always been the initiator of the offense, and that's not what he's doing right now. But he's learning how to cut and move off ball and crash the offensive glass. Just going to kind of run through some of his like hustle numbers here, just to show just really highlight the impact that he's having. But on possessions where he cuts, he's scoring 1.438 points per possession, which ranks in the 76th percentile. He has a 19.1 defensive rebounding rate, 100th percentile, a 7.1 offensive rebounding rate, 100th percentile, a 2.5 steal rate, 90th percentile, 1.5 block rate, 96th percentile. He's figuring out the consistency and how he can really leverage his athleticism to make an impact at the highest level that he can, given the opportunity and role that he's been put into. And I love that they're putting him in more of an off-ball role, because it allows him to crash the glass consistently. It allows him to figure out those nuances that everyone else on the team kind of has to do and that he's never been forced to do. And he's learning how to do all of that in the hardest league, and he's learning it quickly. So if I was a Rockets fan, I would be absolutely over the moon about how these last couple months for him have gone. The jumper is what it is. It's bad. It's flat out bad. It's probably going to be bad for a while. But the fact that he's learning how to impact the game in these different pockets and pick his spots and really utilize his athleticism to its fullest extent, where he's grabbing a ton of rebounds on both ends of the floor. He's creating extra possessions. And then when he gets a defensive rebound, he's immediately bolting out in transition, where it's like 25.5% of his possessions are transition. It's really, really impressive stuff. And the scoring has a lot of work to do. But even when he's not scoring at the rim, it's way better than it was at OTE. He's learning a bit of craft. He's learning that he can't just rely on his raw athleticism, and he's drawing a ton of fouls when he attacks the rim. So I've been really, really encouraged by his rookie year after being extremely skeptical and hesitant going into the draft.
I'm very encouraged. I think I'm right there with you. If you're a Rockets fan, you should be head over heels, just pumped out of your mind. I don't want people to take this next part the wrong way, and I know how excited Metcalf gets when I say that phrase, but I mean this in the best possible way for Amen. He right now is a possessed Ben Simmons that wants to get great. It is very hungry to work on his game. He is very very passionate about getting better, and I think that is one of the scariest things to figure out or like to deal with is, whole crap, like this kid has the tools, and instead of, Ben Simmons had the length at 6'10" and the frame right out of the gate. Instead, Amen is 6'7" with holy crap athleticism that he's using to find ways to impact. Like he is all over the place on the boards. It's a tip dunks, it's getting possessions and throwing out dimes. The playmaking is still there. It's fantastic. Some of the reads he makes, you just like, you see flashes all the time. You're just like, oh my goodness, when this kid keeps figuring it out and keeps playing and the confidence keeps building and he's going to keep working on his game. Like him developing off the ball is so huge because he's always going to be a weapon with the ball in his hands. But if he can become a weapon off the ball, then you have a nightmare even without the shot being there yet. And the shot will come with reps and working on it. It's still a problem. Like I watched that Pacer game. He had a wide open corner three from a dish and airballed by a foot. But it's okay. It's work in progress. And you're seeing that he's got that next play up mentality too, which I love to see with rookies of just, okay, what's next? Like I'm flying all over the place. I love also that like he'll make a big block and just be like, okay, where do I got to be? Like the ball is out of bounds. Like he's just locked in like, okay, next play. And I think he's got a great coach that's going to keep unlocking his game and motivating him. And we've always heard that he's a hard worker and a great kid. So I'm not worried about Amen finding his groove and getting better. Like I think he landed in the perfect place. We've all said this, like he landed in a great spot that's going to get the best basketball player out of him.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned the shot, and he's being left wide open because no one respects him as a shooter, and nor should they. And teams are really going way under. So a good way to combat that is to use him more off ball and let him be that corner crasher on offensive rebounds and have him make back cuts constantly. And he's buying into that. The shot, and he's shooting 20% on all jumpers. I don't think that's unexpected. I don't think that's, obviously it's really low. We'd love that to be double, triple that, but it's not. But the cutting's more effective. He's shooting 62.5% at the rim, which is close to what he was shooting at the rim in the half court with OTE. It's a little lower, but the fact that it's this high surprises me, given the concerns I had about that coming into the season. And he's drawing a shooting foul on 18.1% of his shot attempts, which is ranks in the 100th percentile. So he's getting to the line a bunch. The free throw percentage, again, still needs to improve. But given his work ethic, given everything we hear about him, I think it will. I don't think he's ever going to be an awesome shooter, but league average, I don't think it's a pipe dream like it maybe was this time a year ago.
I'm right there with you. I think we just got to wait and see. Me and you have talked about this before. I swear we were like, he's either going to start out the gate red hot and shock people, or he could be a post All-Star break guy where all of a sudden things just start clicking. My big thing with the men is I want to see him have a couple more like stretches of like 5 games where he's really putting together and the confidence is building. And then, if they make the playing game and they're playing their butt off and they're a young team that's hungry, they get a win, unbelievable. If they somehow got to the playoffs, it's a huge win for the Rockets for where they are right now. And everything looks like it's trending in the right direction. But Amen with a full off season of, you can see on tape, he's annoyed when guys are playing him so off. Because then he tries to take him off the bounce and he's having some success sometimes. But like if he's going to go this offseason and just be like, pull up jumpers, threes. I'm just going to hammer everything away. And he's going to big sophomore leap guy. I feel like he's going to really be an exciting one. He's going to go to summer league and shoot a 3 the first possession. And if he hits it, everyone's going to freak out. It's going to be awesome.
And during warmups, he made like 8 or 9 in a row from the top of the arc. So it's like, oh, that's fun. Didn't translate to the game, but baby steps. But I think the kind of next area of his game that still can really be unlocked is the playmaking, because we still haven't seen that really pop. There's not a ton of shooting or consistent scoring on that Rockets team, which will get better in time. But once they kind of figure out how to implement him more as a playmaker, that I think that even more importantly than the shot is kind of where the offense pops. So anything else on Amen?
No, I'm excited. I think it's just another one that looks like it's going to be part of a fun class. Like Amen's look great.
Absolutely agree. Let's just pull up the wheel of fate here real quick just to see who we got next week. All right, I'm just going to spin it. All right, here we go.
Come on, baby. We've had some good luck lately. Give me something fun. Oh, my prodigal son.
All right.
That's going to be a fun one. I'm actually going to be watching some defense film tonight, folks. That's a good one. I like that.
Okay. So next week we got Case and Wallace. That'll be a lot of fun. Rucker, this is a long one. We'll get to a green room next week.
Okay, fine.
So I know you made updated graphics. I appreciate it.
No, it's okay.
But
grinding.
We're 90 minutes in, so I think this is a good place to cover or to call it. We've covered a ton. Anything to plug?
No, I mean, I plugged it earlier, but I got a scouting notebook coming over tomorrow. Please go check it out. If you guys haven't, we're doing a lot of really good stuff with No Ceilings Plus. I promise it's worth the investment. Metcalf's got a very fun piece that should be thrilling. Can't wait to read that one. I'm going to wait till it actually gets posted. So I won't cheat. But no, that's all I got. That's all. I'm just excited. I'm excited. We're almost all-star break for NBA. Great trade deadline for playoff push teams, and gosh, I just can't believe we're already here. And March Madness is literally just peeking its head around the corner, like hello. So it's gonna get weird.
It's gonna get weird real quickly. Thank you to everyone in the chat. This was fun. You guys were just spin some fire all episode. Appreciate all of you. But once again, I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me on Twitter at TMetcalf11. DMs are always open if you want to talk ball. My Reed Shepherd piece will be up Friday morning over at NoCeilingsNBA.com. Make sure to go check it out. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and 5-star rating. Until next time, see ya.